Good evening and thank you for joining us. Regional Health Sciences Center officials have confirmed that some non-emergency surgeries that were scheduled to be performed today have been postponed.
The hospital's chief of staff says it's because of the number of staff members currently sick with COVID-19.
Our staffing levels have been impacted by COVID-19, and we have had to postpone some surgeries as a result of our staffing levels at the current time.
Jacobson is unsure exactly how many surgeries have been postponed and how much notice the affected patients received. He doesn't believe there will be a noticeable increase to the surgical backlog that's built up throughout the pandemic, but he acknowledges that the regional is suffering through the same staffing crisis that's impacting hospitals across the country.
We do feel the impact with the number of staff that have to go off for COVID isolation, recognizing that it will have an impact on care. And what we're doing in these instances is diverting resources to where they are needed most. If it's reassignment of staff, prioritizing surgeries, and recognizing that the need to catch up on surgical backlogs, for example, will be an issue moving forward. Our team has been quite nimble throughout the process, and recognizing that this is a day-by-day issue that we're having to work through.
Dr. Bradley Jacobson says despite the challenges, the regional does not plan to make any changes to its mandatory isolation rules for staff who've been infected with COVID.
Well, speaking of, Ontario's plan to do away with that mandatory 5-day isolation is baffling some health officials across the province. Mike Walker has more on the change and on the pediatric booster shot that's now available to kids 5 and up.
Ahead of an expected surge in COVID-19 transmission this fall, the province is doing away with a mandatory 5-day isolation period for people who test positive for COVID-19.
It is too soon.
Why is that?
Because you don't know, who have it from who don't. And if you do that, what's going to happen? It's going to, spread more.
I'm fully vaccinated, so, I trust the scientists if they think it's safe.
The change is part of an all-respiratory virus approach that recommends only leave the house once a fever and symptoms have improved for at least 24 hours, wear a mask for at least 10 days, and stay away from vulnerable people.
We're trying to be practical and pragmatic in our approach, and these recommendations may change if we see more impact of respiratory viruses.
The changes come as Ontario wastewater data shows a slight increase in the amount of COVID-19, baffling some infectious disease specialists.
The notion that they're taking an all-virus approach leads you to believe that COVID is the same thing as influenza. Well, it's not. Influenza does not cause this kind of morbidity and this kind of mortality.
Within a 10-day period of when you've had COVID, you are still infectious. You can still infect other people around you.
This comes as students are set to return to the classroom next week, and starting today, parents of children ages 5 to 11 can now book a pediatric booster dose through the provincial portal, health unit, doctor, or pharmacies. Some parents are eager to book appointments with school resuming.
I'm scared the virus will not spread it.
I'm scared that will be closing schools again and people will get sick often.
While others are still hesitant.
No, I'm a pharmacist and I don't want to do that because I see a lot of side effects and everything.
Kids who have underlying medical conditions that put them at greater risk for severe infection should come out and get that booster shot. They should, right? These are kids that are at risk for hospitalization and more severe outcomes, and this can help reduce that.
For parents who are unsure, health experts say it's best to consult with your health care provider first.
Here in Thunder Bay, the reaction to Ontario's decision to drop the 5-day isolation seems mixed. Some residents we spoke to today say they were relieved, while others believe mandatory isolation should remain in place, at least until cold and flu season is over.
Well, I think it's a good thing that they're loosening restrictions. We've been in restrictions for almost 2.5 years now, so personally I think it's a good thing. COVID is starting to wane. People are pretty vigilant about what they're doing. If they're feeling ill, they tend to stay home and then monitor their symptoms. So I think it's a good thing.
Well, it kind of makes me nervous because, I know some parents aren't also truthful, so it's are we going to have like an outbreak if some parents aren't really being truthful about their kids' symptoms? But overall, I'm mostly like relieved.
I think it's time for that in the sense that it's more sociably conducive to everybody's mental well-being. Also at the time that it's summer. And if I remember correctly, so don't quote me, I thought it didn't survive well in the summer.
Honestly, it makes me a little bit more nervous because, cold and flu season's coming around. And then as a healthcare worker, it's seeing the hospital a little swamped right now. It's a little tough and we're getting a little bit worn out, but, it is what it is, I guess. But 5 days seems like it should be a little bit longer at least until maybe the end of the cold and flu season.
I don't know how I feel about it. I'm a little nervous going into cold and flu season. I know that, maybe the numbers are going to spike and, with all the other viruses going around, maybe it would still be good if people could stay home for the 5 days. I know everyone's kind of sick and tired, but I kind of wish the 5 day would stay.
Well, both the government and the official opposition were chastised by the Speaker at Queen's Park today for a lack of decorum. It came as Thunder Bay Superior North MPP Lise Vaugeois questioned the motives behind the government's handling of healthcare staffing. But the Minister of Colleges and Universities, Jill Dunlop, sidestepped the question and instead addressed the interest of students in the nursing profession.
But there is no evidence whatsoever that any of these new professionals exist. They are nowhere to be seen in Thunder Bay Superior North, and given the staffing crisis gripping every single healthcare setting in the province, nowhere to be seen anywhere else. Is your refusal to negotiate a fair wage with existing healthcare workers, thus sending them out of the profession in droves, part of your long-term plan to privatize healthcare?
And it's true, we have hired thousands of healthcare workers, and we have thousands of students now wanting to enter the nursing profession. Today's report showed 25,000 students wanting to enter the nursing profession at Ontario's publicly funded colleges and universities. Because of the record investments that this government is making in healthcare system, record number of students are wanting to enter this profession. We know how vital nurses.
Today is move-in day at Lakehead University. It's a day of excitement and, of course, a little anxiety for incoming students living in residence. But as Vasilios Bellos tells us, school officials and older students who've done this before are on hand to help ease the transition.
It's a big step for about 1,000 new Lakehead University students, many of whom are venturing out on their own for the first time.
I'm definitely excited, a little nervous though, because it's a big change, especially because I come from a really little school.
That's why school officials were there to help with things like carrying boxes. This as music blared throughout the day to ensure a fun first impression of university life. Director of Resident Services Shannon Foster says it's all about helping the new students get comfortable in an unfamiliar environment.
Helping out with the moving in is the big thing today, and then as the evening goes on, we'll go into some icebreakers and meetings, different members of the community, movie nights, as well as orientation through the Student Union, as well as through the Student Success Center. There's going to be a lot of different things going on over the next few days to help that transition so that when they hit Tuesday, they're ready to go to school.
Members of Residence Life, a group made up of more experienced students, were also there to make newcomers feel welcome. Yolanda Torres is the Residence Life media coordinator.
This can be the first time here in Thunder Bay, and that's part of what being in Res Life is supporting the students, make them feel like this is their home. And so far, I'm really glad being part of this because the university has supported me a lot, and I'm glad to do that, give back to the people who gave me so much love.
And for incoming new students like Jessica Alvich and Tyler Veer who weren't sure what to expect, Move-In Day definitely helped make the transition a little easier.
I'm so excited. This is so much fun. Everyone here is so fun and so sweet. I feel so welcome already. I was so nervous coming in, but everyone has made it so fun. I love the music playing. It's great.
Everybody's having fun. It's nice, and it makes me feel a lot more comfortable. Well, everybody seems really ready to help me if I need to.
Clearly, the effort put in by Lakehead here on Move-In Day will make new students feel more comfortable about living on res and their first weeks at LU as a whole. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
Well, a local man was arrested yesterday after an investigation into child pornography possession. The Thunder Bay Police Services Cyber Crimes Unit began looking into suspicious online activity that happened in May and June of this year. They found content consistent with child exploitation, which led to a search warrant being executed near the corner of Sifton Avenue and Arthur Street. 61-year-old Rafael Lamana is facing child pornography charges and appeared in bail court today. He's been released with conditions and a future court date.
Thunder Bay Police also made a break-and-enter arrest yesterday. An investigation was launched after signs of forced entry and damage to a business on Saturday, in which a suspect fled with cash and property before police arrived. The investigation led to the identification and arrest of a 43-year-old man. He's been remanded into custody.
Inflation is affecting everyone and every charitable organization. Habitat for Humanity is no exception. The cost of its latest build is now about 50% higher than had been expected, and the nonprofit agency is now appealing to the public to help finish the project. Lee Noonan has the story.
With the cost of materials and labor coming in higher than expected, Habitat for Humanity Thunder Bay has been forced to massively increase the budget for its latest home build, from about $200,000 to more than $300,000. At the same time, the organization has seen a decrease in donations. CEO Lana Vukelik says they need help.
We're hoping that, people will recognize the good that we do and, send us a few dollars so we can, meet our budget.
Habitat hopes to have the latest recipients moved into their new home by mid-November.
We're helping a family stand up on their own 2 feet and be self-sufficient and create a new legacy for their family.
The family of 5 has been putting in what Vukelik calls sweat equity and will also pay down an interest-free mortgage on the house.
A lot of folks think we give the houses away. We don't. We actually take the money from the mortgage payments and reinvest them into more housing.
The organization is feeling the squeeze from all sides. Vukelik says the cost of housing in Thunder Bay has skyrocketed, and more people are now in need of an affordable home.
And it's not only young families. There's a demand for elder, for veterans. I mean, there's all kinds of demand for housing, affordable housing.
Vukelik says she understands that families are trying to stretch their incomes right now, but she adds, every little bit helps. Donations can be made online or here at the Habitat for Humanity Restore, 660 Squire Street, where the organization is holding a fundraising barbecue 11 to 3 p.m. next Thursday, September 8th. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
The Thunder Bay Salmon Association awarded 2 massive prizes today. Atikokan resident Sherwin Duran is the proud owner of a new 2022 Kubota utility vehicle from Kubota Thunder Bay.
But you are the lucky winner for sure, so.
Well, isn't that cool? Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
The grand prize is valued at more than $28,000. The Salmon Association also drew the winner of its 50-50 draw. That went to Thunder Bay's Roy Diaz, who takes home more than $10,000. In total, the association raised more than $100,000 between the 2 fundraisers. That money will support the operation of its fish hatchery. Salmon Association President Ernie Ukrainik says that money will help out a lot.
And especially the last couple of years with COVID, we were struggling to do fundraisers. So of course our salmon derby that we do in July helps to raise some funds too. The hatchery is pretty costly to run, especially through the winter time. We have to pay for all of that, and all the money is out of our pocket. It's no money comes from the government at all.
There's good news and bad news at Centennial Park. Unfortunately, the bad news, the problem-plagued Muskeg Express is done for the year because of mechanical issues. The Muskeg was expected to stay on the tracks through the Labor Day weekend, but a transmission issue has taken the ride out of service once again. The Centennial Park attraction has been shut down many times over the last several years due to a variety of issues, including multiple derailments. City Parks Manager Corey Halverson says there is a positive development at the park, however, as a new attraction is set to open this weekend.
The way it was looking is we were going to be able to have the, go through the long weekend with the muskeg and also have our first essentially soft opening for the new Centennial Park playground. So the train won't be in operation for that this weekend, but the playground will finally be available for use because I know people have been watching the construction and anticipating it being available.
Halverson adds, all in all, it's been a very successful season for the Muskeg Express, and it's expected to be up and running again next year.
The official end of summer is still a few weeks away, but Thunder Bay's summer concert series ended with a bang last night. Thousands of people visited Marina Park as Live on the Waterfront closed out with a long-awaited fireworks show. Kurt Black was there.
It was a celebration of summer down in Marina Park Wednesday night as Thunder Bay turned out en masse for the final evening of Live on the Waterfront, with crowds stretching as far as the eye could see. Acting City Events Supervisor Callie Hemsworth says the turnout over the last 7 weeks is a clear indicator of just how badly the community has missed events like the concert series.
It's been a tough couple of years for a lot of people, and just being able to come out together and be part of a community and feel that sense of belonging while supporting live music is really important to people. And as you can see tonight, we've had a great turnout, and I think people are just really excited to get back and enjoying live music together again.
Vancouver indie pop band Fake Shark held the honor of being the final performer of the season and delivered a set that had both young and young at heart, wishing the summer would never end.
I do love Fake Shark. I am a huge fan.
I can't stop. I just love this band. Yes, I'm having a great time, and I don't want the summer to end, and I hope it goes on forever.
And as the music came to a close, Live on the Waterfront culminated with the light show that everyone had been waiting for.
How are you enjoying the show tonight, bud?
A lot.
Fireworks lit up the sky at the waterfront and around the city. The spectacular display could even be seen as far as Thunder City Speedway. So how can the event be topped next summer? Well, Hemsworth says those discussions will take place in the coming months.
It has been very exciting to see the turnout tonight and the perfect weather for it, so we'll see what happens next year.
And as the stage is disassembled and put away for the final time this season, Hemsworth is just grateful that she played a role in bringing the community back together after such a tumultuous past 2 years. Kurt Black, TBT News.
Well, it was a great night for a concert and a great night for fireworks last night, Mitch, and a great day out there today as well.
It's been a